So I'm not wrong to say that there's like a ton of anime coming out every so often. Like, you can't even go 2 steps in this cultural zeitgeist without tripping over a new show that is basically the same regurgitated isekai anime, except they have a gimmick like the main pretty boy is a vending machine. This is actually a thing. I did not make this up. There is an anime where a guy turns into a vending machine in another fantasy world. This is some actual shit! But what I'm trying to get at here is that anime has become a very lucrative business as of late, mainly due to how easy it has become to watch this stuff, thanks in part to the internet and simulcasting. Heck, people are actually getting paid to talk about Japanese cartoons. Like, for real, getting money out of this. Which, by the way, this channel is almost to 1,000 subs. If you want to subscribe and share my stuff, then I'll be even more closer to feeling the crushing despair of all my stuff getting demonetized. Anyway, getting back on topic, anime's international rise means that there's a very high number of shows being made and produced every year. And with so much coming out in such quick succession, it shouldn't be a surprise that a good number of these shows just fall through the cracks. But that's not gonna stop these AniTubers from claiming that they've seen every single anime of that season. But now I actually have undeniable proof that all of these guys are phonies, deceivers, charlatans. Oh yeah, just to clarify, this is a bit. I mean, I have no ill will towards these creators and really do respect them. Just for legal reasons, this is a joke. Anyhow, hi everyone, it's me, a DavKav, your favorite schmuck. And for this month, we're going to be talking about the anime Futo Pi, a show that, at my knowledge, might be the most overlooked anime of this current decade. I mean, none of the big boys actually looked at this, to the point where I don't think they know it even exists. Which is kind of a shame, because this was my most anticipated anime of that year. But we'll discuss why that might be the case at a later moment, because for right now, guys, I want to talk to you all about Futo Pi. Futo Pi is an anime adaptation of the manga known as Futo Tante, which also means Futo Pi. It was written by one Riku Sanjo, produced by the Ishinomori Company and Toei, and was released on August 1st of 2022. And all of you remember that date because this will become important later. The show follows a private detective team known as the Narumi Detective Offices, located in the windiest city of Japan known as Futo, hence the name Futo Pi. Yeah, so this anime isn't about feet, so I hope that clears things up for you. In this detective firm is one Shotaro Hidari, a man who is by far the closest thing we're gonna get to an anime version of the Onceler. Shotaro also has a big quirk where all of his friends and family just kind of call him out on his bullshit tough guy act. He also has a partner on this side known as Philip, a soft-spoken individual who is, by God, somewhere on the spectrum. I mean, it's at a comical point where he has a nigh omniscient power of knowledge about borderline everything, except maybe the knowledge of certain social cues. Man restraints. But you know what, goddammit, I love these two beans, they just work with each other so well. They're led by their boss, Akiko Narumi, who isn't really the boss, except she kind of is, but she more acts like an assistant than anything else, and is borderline the comic relief character. And side note, she's also married to this man, Superintendent Ryu Teruri, a character best described as Shadow the Hedgehog if he was a cop. And all that ensues from that thought. Anyhow, the first case in this anime starts off with Shotaro bumping into this mysterious woman who would later be reported as a witch by this guy, after witnessing some strange phenomena happen around her like the world shifting in on itself. And even though this sounds like big hubbubaloo or bullshit, this instead invigorates our lovable dork detectives to hit the streets in order to investigate. Here we get to see some scenes of Shotaro questioning some very colorful characters like Santa Claus and a guy just named Watcher Man, only to come face to face with the witch herself. Shotaro then gives chase to this physics-defying lady on his green and black motorcycle and is able to catch up with her. When cornered, the woman reveals her name as Tokime, and then proceeds to knee Shotaro in the solarplex before running off again into fucking Bizarro World. And then, after running a bit, Shotaro then just transports into this random Yakuza place. I hope you guys are following along with this, because things are about to get stranger as we go on. So returning to the office, Shotaro gets a call from his partner Philip, who chimes in that there's a possibility that this Tokime character might have something called a Gaia memory on her, which is something that I will also explain later. Shotaro then continues to hit the streets, and with enough information, was able to track down Tokime once again. And she's currently bathing in the park fountain. Oh boy, this is gonna be one of those shows, huh? Well, when confronted again, she reveals that she indeed has a Gaia memory, before running off again. Shotaro then gives chase, only to once again be transported back into Bizarro World and shot at by lasers. Shotaro then has to run for his life and almost gets shot, only to be saved by Philip performing a Deus Ex Machina. And now that things are starting to get heated, the investigation can truly start. And from here, a lot happens. We learn that the creature that attacked Shotaro is called a dopant, which are individuals who are able to transform into devastating monsters through the use of the aforementioned Gaia memories, which are basically USB drugs.
Jesse, the meth business ain't shit anymore. We now need to learn C++.
And specifically, Shotaro went face to face with the Road Dopant, a monster who is able to burn at high temperatures to the point that it can travel through Bizarro World and back. Which also, apparently, Bizarro World is made of human blood! We then get to see that the Road Dopant has been targeting and killing different people in order to feed the Bizarro World. And then suddenly, the Road Dopant shows up out of nowhere and begins to target our favorite soy boy. The monster then attacks Shotaro, but he manages to survive, and the thing just disappears. And then Tokime's here, standing on thin air, and leaves. Back at the office, Akiko and Philip are starting to deduce that Tokime might just be the dopant that's been attacking them. However, Shotaro is not having it, and chooses to confront the witch one last time. We then cut to Shotaro finding Tokime at the park once more, and he finally asks her what she's truly after, in which she reveals that she's trying to find any memory of who she was. She also reveals that the Gaia memory that she has is actually broken. And it's at this time where the Yakuza from before just show up and decide to try and kill Tokime for being the dopant that's trying to kill them. Only for Shotaro to interject and reveal to everyone that she is not the dopant. He then comes to the conclusion that one of the guys in the Yakuza ranks might be the dopant. And you know what? It turns out to be correct, as it's revealed that the dopant was Random Schlub number 5. Who then proceeds to turn to the Road Dopant and begins to attack everyone. However, just as the monster is about to strike Shotaro, Philip comes in once again with a battle tank, cause you know, you can't be a good detective without a battle tank. So Philip and Akiko arrive on the scene. Philip then berates Shotaro about going out in the field recklessly, but then says that a good partner would never leave the other's side, no matter what. And then Philip hands to Shotaro the double driver. And after a very, very flashy transformation sequence, Shotaro and Philip become one, as they finally transform into
ライダーダメ。さあ、お前の罪を数えろ。
Oh gee, I wonder why this was my most anticipated anime of that year. Yep, Futo Pi isn't just an anime about a Tumblr sexy man and his gay autistic partner solving Goosebumps mysteries, but it's actually a sequel to the 2009's highly regarded tokusatsu season, Kamen Rider W. Or double, it's a Japanese thing. And to note, something like this is actually rare. Like, we don't really get another full-blown series with certain characters. That only happened, like, what, twice in this franchise's history? Once if you don't count the season 2 of Amazons. Now, of course, something like that might actually pose a problem while watching this without any context of the original, especially since you can't really watch Kamen Rider Double through legal means, and the fact that you also have to go through 49 episodes, 2 crossovers, a movie, and 2 spin-offs. But after watching Futo Pi, I feel like one could at least get through the anime well enough without much context. But of course, I do know that's gonna be some problem for some people, and if that's gonna be a bother to you, then just go watch Kamen Rider W. It's a really good season! Anyhow, Shotaro and Philip become Kamen Rider Double, and the two of them fight the Road Dopant, leading to the Dopant escaping into Bizarro World, which then leads to... Oh no fucking way! So Double then chases down the Road Dopant in a very cool action scene, and when they catch up to him, they do what all great detectives strive to do. Perform a rider kick on his ass. So now the perp is taken into custody, the guy from before, who I failed to mention was also part of this journey, also turned out to be a dopant, so now he's arrested, and Tokime then joins the detective agency as an assistant. So now the story's set with some mysteries to solve. What's the deal with Bizarro World? Who is Tokime? And also, yeah, there's an evil villain group because this is Kamen Rider. There's always gonna be a shocker. Also to note, at the end of each episode, we get a little skit show featuring the characters. It's kind of adorable and really shines their personalities, and you know what, we also get a cameo from Kamen Rider X. You know, the one that fought Starfish Hitler. But really, that's the full premise of this show. The overall season has about 4 standalone plots, with an overarching narrative in between. This season also has a total of 12 episodes. Oh boy, it's my favorite thing! Stretching! Actually, that's a lie. I've never stretched in my entire life. I am in constant pain! But what I'm trying to say is that each plotline takes about 3 episodes, unlike the original series that took about 2. And sometimes it can kind of feel like a detriment to the show, such as how they'll start a big battle at the tail end of one episode, so you have to wait till the next one to actually see it. Which means that the majority of the series is more or less a build-up with these characters at the forefront. However, luckily, this is the cast from W. They are amazing as they are, and they're pretty well adapted in this anime. I mean, everyone's just fun in this show. Their familiar banters between each other just go along to shine their personalities just as bright as they did in the original. And the new character of Tokime actually fits well with this group and establishes herself as part of the cast and flourishes as her own character. Even if she's giving off the vibe of, selling merch. Heck, even the serious police husband, who is also a Kamen Rider, is also pretty fun. 'Cause I mean, he turns into a bike. How is that not fun? This is not the only rider in this franchise that turns into a bike, just to let you know. And of course, there's the villains, which are, you know, pretty neat for what little we know about them as of now. And especially when the big bad does something that most villains don't do, and that's going, ah yes, the duo that has destroyed multiple organizations and gods. You know, maybe it's in our best interest to not get them involved in our schemes, and you know, try and stall them as much as possible from interfering. Because I don't know, I'd rather not die horribly while I watch everything I've built for years and years just fucking crumble as they do some sort of Abbott and Costello routine on our asses. You know, just my opinion. And also, to keep up talking about the villains, yeah, because we're in a different medium, the designs of the monsters are now made to look even more over the top than they could do with, you know, rubber costumes. In more ways than one. This monster right here got Twitter's attention for a hot second. Can you guess why?
No Logongus.
And of course, I would like to segment this to talk about the rider suits, but I'll save that when I decide to talk about Kamen Rider W at some point in time. And finally, there's no need to say this, the music fucking slaps. And the fact that they made a new version of WBX is just, oh. But that's kind of a quick review of Futo Pi. It's a pretty good show on its own, and is definitely worth the watch. So why didn't the anime watchers not talk about this one? I'm smelling a conspiracy, I tell you what. Every single anti-tubers, those dirty reptile people, are all in on this, just to spite me! Actually, it might be a lot more simple than you think. Like I said in the beginning, there was a lot of anime being pushed out at once, so even though these anti-tubers will claim that they've seen every single anime of this season, that's not exactly true, unless they did sit through all of these. Which, brother in Christ, I am concerned about your well-being. However, I can think of two big reasons on why Futo Pi kind of fell under the radar on anyone's watch lists, with one of its biggest mistakes being its timing. Remember when I mentioned that this series came out in August of 2022? Well, to keep track of everything, anime is segmented into seasonal releases, starting with winter and ending in fall, and Futo Pi was considered a summer release, in what many consider to be a very late entry. Cause I don't know if you noticed, but all of the big anime YouTubers who gave out their opinions on that summer season all released around late July. So this anime is not on there because it wasn't even out yet. But that shouldn't be too bad, right? Yes, it's a little late to their summer videos, but that shouldn't matter. It can just roll on to their fall videos, or even their end-of-the-year discussions, right? It can't be hard to just throw this one in, right? You have no idea how stacked 2022 was. Well, to start, 2022 saw the release of Attack on Titan, the final season, the final arc for real this time for sure, Part 2, the Shenmue anime, shows like Dress Up Darling, Komi-san, Ya Boy Kang Ming, and Love is War for delightfully wholesome shows to turn your brain off to. Then there's Love After World Domination, which is also based off Tokusatsu, but it's more of a parody of Power Rangers. And of course, there was Shield Hero Season 2. We don't talk about Shield Hero Season 2. Then there's Licorice Recoil, Engage Kiss, Uncle from Another World, and the Ruby anime. Then we had one of Shonen Jump's biggest projects to date, Spy X Family, released that year. Then of course, Overlord came back, Made in Abyss came back, and Devil is a Part-Timer came back. And dear God, we haven't even gone to the fall season. Spy X Family Part 2, My Hero Season 6, Pop Team Epic Season 2, and Mob Psycho's final season came out that time. Then the sleeper hit, Boshi the Rock, took the internet by storm, along with the critically acclaimed Cyberpunk Edge Runners. The newest series of the Gundam franchise came out, along with a remake of Yosuri Yatsura, you know, the OG waifu anime, not to mention the dozens upon dozens of shovelware isekai. Oh yeah, and let's not forget that this anime, based off of a show from a different medium that isn't legally available right now, had to be released at the same year as fucking Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man! This feels unfair, because Kamen Rider has had a hard time getting into the States, either because of legalese or the fact that it will have the stigmata that all toku in the West will have, that being, if it's not Godzilla, it's Power Rangers. And I was hoping that this anime would get people to talk about Kamen Rider at least a little bit more, and maybe put it in some level of the mainstream in a community that could easily take it in, and yet it was passed by. People moved on. Just forgotten. But let's not end on a downer, shall we? While the big anime community might have forgotten Futo Pi, the tokusatsu community didn't. There were reviews, reactions, analyzing and critiquing everything about this show. Heck, there's even another guy by the name of Baron Senshi who also pointed out the lack of notoriety in this anime because, like me, he's a fan of Kamen Rider. Also, because I just noticed this after writing the script, it was mentioned by a YouTube channel by the name of Vinny Tubes, but they're giving me some Watch Mojo vibes, so I don't know if they truly count. I don't know, I'll leave it up to you. Also, by the time of this recording, I was able to find that two YouTubers, namely Anime America and Phenom Sage, I hope I'm saying that right, they actually fucking mentioned the show! Holy shit, that is actually pretty big. On its own, Futo Pi is a decent supernatural mystery show with some superhero shenanigans, but for us, it was a continuation of one of the best Rider seasons. We got to see our favorite characters go on another adventure, and that doesn't really happen that much. Most we get when they're returning to a story is either a movie or 4 of the old cast members come to sing a segment of a song, neither of which were the main writer, or the one that joined a cult. So even though this will be lost to the sands of the anime conglomerate, it was still kind of nice to hang out in the Windy City at least one more time. By the time of this recording, it would be over a year since the anime debuted, and we have no word on a second season, and only 29 of the 140 chapters have been fully translated. But who knows? Anything can happen. This is a weird world we live in. The future can say otherwise, and until that happens, I really do recommend Futo Pi. But until that time comes, I must ask you again to like and subscribe. Really helps out the channel, especially since I'm so close to 1,000 subs. But most importantly, have a nice day, and I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.